Good afternoon, and this is again my daily sort of sharing slot for Christchurch Southwark, and this is a particular reaching out to those of you who would think of themselves as not being religious, but possibly more spiritual or atheist, and then how to cope in these situations like now where there is so much fear about as London faces certainly a lockdown in the not so near future. So this is particularly aimed at those of you who think of yourself as spiritual, not religious. And I am Ian here. In self-isolation here just south of Blackfriars Bridge. And so I just wanted to share some thoughts about what to do if you consider yourself not religious but possibly spiritual and atheist, and what to do in these times. Firstly, to say it is completely natural that most of us are quite fearful. We live in uncharted times. What's going on at the moment has never happened, and we were completely unprepared for. So if you are struggling because of work or that you're not being able to work, then looking after ourselves at this time really, really matters, no matter what our spiritual or religious background is. So I really commend the use of meditation. It's quite well known now that mindfulness has been pretty much proved to be incredibly successful about learning to live in the moment and dealing one day at a time is very much how to cope in these times. So I very much commend that to you. So what we do with our emotions, what we do with our fear, what we do with our anxiety really matters. So if you're in self-isolation, or you just had to go home because you haven't got any work, or you just got things just got really difficult, then do commend this sense of how can we regulate and look after ourselves in these times of great uncertainty and difficulty. And it's echoed, I think, by one of my favourite poems, which is some words from Rumi, the more mystical poet and writer who wrote this: "You worry too much. You have seen your own strength. You have seen your own beauty. You have seen your golden wings. Of anything less, why do you worry? You are in truth the soul of the soul of the soul. You are the security, the shelter of the spirit of lovers. O the Sultan of Sultans, of any other king, why do you worry? Be silent like a fish, and go into the pleasant sea. You are in deep waters now, of life's blazing fire. Why do you worry?" Love the idea of a silence and the place of being a fish going into pleasant sea. So in this time, if you were like what I was quite an activist and don't really get contemplation and silence, which was my background, then I commend to you, maybe use some of this time to learn how to meditate, to learn how to be quiet, how to do silence. And as I said, there are many online resources for silent meditation. You can find those through many apps. There's one called Breathe, Breathe, that is particularly good if you're coming from this, from being spiritual, not religious. The other thing I think is to remember is some of the great wisdom that comes out of the 12-step movement, which draws on a deep spiritual basis, but not necessarily religious. And I just want to read out what are kind of some of the background, which I think are really helpful in these situations where we find ourselves in difficult situations. So listen to these and just place where you are in this thinking. The first step is to admit that we are powerless over the things around us, and that our lives have become unmanageable. There becomes a time in situations like this where we cannot be in control of our destiny. This is so important. So that to not beat yourself up that we live in such difficult times, but to try and find some centeredness in it. So admitting that we are powerless and that our lives have become unmanageable. The second is to believe in some sort of higher power. Now, for the religious, that can be God, but for others, if you're an atheist, then that higher power can be the trust of a sense of common humanity or community or family. So think where to place that higher power that isn't you trying to struggle on your own. So the second step is to believe that there is a power greater than ourselves that can restore us to sanity. Really, really important in times of great uncertainty about finding some centeredness from letting go of always needing to be in control. The third is the sense of using our will to submit to the care of our higher power as we have understood our higher power. So that's about, again, reaching out and not being so isolated that we end up unable to cope. So if you are the sort of person that goes into themselves and beats themselves up, now is the time to reach out through social media and technology, and not to self-isolate yourself emotionally, but to reach out to friends, maybe people you haven't been in contact for ages with, and that sense therefore of reaching out to the higher power that you cannot, we cannot control what is going on at the moment, so the let go, that surrender of the need to be in control. And then it goes on, and then towards the end is a sense of a spiritual awakening, a sense of deep centeredness in ourselves from spiritual practices, whether you're religious or otherwise, to find some form of meditation that works for you, to find centeredness in who you are, the integration of the different parts of you, in the sense of coping and finding resilience in times of great difficulty. So I commend those to you as something really, really, really important. And the other thing that goes with the 12-step movement, which I find deeply helpful, is the what's known as the sobriety or sobriety prayer that sometimes is used, and I'm just looking it up now thinking I haven't got it ready. So this I find really, really helpful as a way every day to focus on the need to surrender. So every day in this time, which might go on a while, it's very, very important that you attend to your well-being by maybe starting the day by surrendering of the will to being always in control, because we are utterly control freaks today, and that is not going to be a way that's going to bring you health and healing. So let me just find this again. Sobriety prayer. So in this time, really, really give yourself some space, some time to pray, time to just accept that you can't be in control, and then just find a way of finding peace. And let me say this little thing, to interpret it wherever you are in terms of what your beliefs are or not beliefs, just to create some centeredness, to believe in something beyond yourself, is so important in these times. So where I say the word higher power, interpret that the way you wish. Higher power, give me grace to accept the serenity of the things that I cannot be changed, courage to change the things which should be changed, and the wisdom to distinguish the one from the other, living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardships as the pathway to peace, not taking this sinful world as it is, nor accepting it for what it has become, but trusting that the will of the higher power will make all things right if I surrender to that will, so that I may be reasonably happy in this life. So be kind to yourself. That's the greatest message of today. And if you are someone who lives in their head quite a lot and finds it difficult with your emotions and finding overwhelmed with all that's going on at the moment, I commend you to stop and create some centeredness, maybe use as an opportunity to explore forms of silent meditation, whether that comes from the mindfulness tradition or from some of the more spiritual, not religious, or even religious traditions. This is a time now to look after yourself, take care. And just to say, if you are someone living locally to the area south of Blackfriars Bridge in central London in this very difficult time in London just before lockdown, please do reach out. We are here, and you can find us on Facebook at Christchurch SE1, Christchurch SE1. And we are here for everybody who's here. So if you need someone to talk to, you're feeling isolated, you're feeling lonely, and you would like to chat, we are here. So please get in contact. You will find all the contact details you need from our Facebook page. So take care. I commend these words of Rumi to you. I affirm these words from the 12-step movement, and look after yourself. Be kind to yourself in this time of challenge.